Hello from Gardening at Douentza here in Ireland, and you're very welcome to this video about how I make my YouTube videos. I've been a YouTuber for 6 years, starting out with very little equipment, little more than a camcorder. And today I have various bits of kit which I'll walk through with you very shortly. So I've learned loads, but the biggest thing I have learned is that equipment can be expensive. So if you invest in something, you really need to be sure that it's something that you genuinely need. So whether you're a regular subscriber and just want a little bit better insight into how the videos are put together, or whether you're a new YouTuber and are thinking of what you might buy to make your channel better, then this is the video for you. And today we're going to talk about the various elements and technologies needed to put a YouTube video together. So we're going to talk about camera, we're going to talk about light, we're going to talk about sound, we're going to talk about tripod, and we're going to talk about video editor, which is very important. And I want to start off by saying that various bits of kit that you're going to see here today are ones that I've newly purchased, I got for Christmas, and I'm very excited about them, like the lights that we're using here today. So I'm still experimenting and working out how best to use them, but I'll give you the lowdown on them very soon. I want to start off by talking about camera, and this is going to be quite brief because I did make a separate video when I got this camcorder more than 2 years ago, the one that this video is being filmed with, and the one I've used consistently over the last 2 years, and I will say it is really good. Yeah, it is really good. One important feature that it has that I didn't really elaborate on when I made the video about the camcorder is the fact that it has a flip screen. So you can set your camcorder up on a tripod and you can point it at the seat that you're going to be sitting in, this one here, and then you can flip the screen around and sit down and you can look at yourself as you're recording. And this is so important because it's so easy to go out of shot and to go down here and to go every which way. But with this flip screen, you can see that you're still in shot and just make sure it's good going forward. And this is so important if you're on your own, if you're recording on your own and you don't have somebody to tell you what's what. Now, I think a good camera is quite important if you film what I do, which is out and about stuff, not necessarily vlogs where it's more about the movement, let's say, and you might use something like a GoPro rather than the quality of the picture. But when I go somewhere, it's to film a garden and I need to make sure that the quality of the pictures that I put out there are fairly decent. So you need a decent quality camera. However, if you're recording at home and it's mostly just about you and your opinions and talking, then perhaps it's less important. So, having got the camera right, the next thing you need to consider is a tripod. And I think my opinion on tripod has changed a lot over the course of the 6 years that I've been YouTubing. So when I started out, I thought it was really quite authentic to like hold the camera and record something and just try and hold it steady, and that, you know, when you do that your hands shake a bit, and I thought that just made the videos more authentic. But as time has gone on, I've realized that really that is the first mistake of a rookie. Well, actually the second mistake, because the first mistake of a YouTube rookie is to record in portrait. So you have, you know, you hold up your phone and you've got a portrait picture that you're putting out there when the screen is actually landscape. But the second mistake then is to hold the camera when it's meant to be steady, but because you're just physically holding it, it wobbles a bit. And basically, if you're recording something and you want movement in it, and you do want movement in it because otherwise you could really be just talking over a photograph if there's no movement. But the movement needs to be either the thing that you're pointing at is moving and you're rock steady, or else the thing that you're pointing at is steady and you move around it, or whichever which way. So that is really quite important. So in the last few years I've come to use a tripod, and I was just gifted a new tripod at Christmas. And the big advantage of the new tripod I have, now tripods aren't expensive. In terms of kit, this is going to be really low cost. So I really think it's something that, you know, is very worthwhile. But my old tripod, what had happened over time was that one of the legs had broken slightly, so it was difficult to keep it upright. So we could never have the tripod out at full length. And the result of that was, whenever I recorded, the tripod had to go up in a chair, or if we're outdoors, up onto a wheelbarrow. And of course, that's just more setup. And sometimes I would just sit down or crouch down. And in a lot of videos, you'll see that because the camera wasn't slightly above me, it was slightly below, because the leg wasn't working properly, that I'm looking down, and I've got a double chin in a lot of videos. So I'm really delighted to have a new tripod and not have to worry about that so much anymore. And when you get your tripod, do make sure that the joints are oiled nicely, because there's nothing worse when you're trying to do a pan of a flower for it to be like all kind of jerky. Right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is light. And today I have the benefit of my new studio lights, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. Now, for years and years, I had no extra light in any of the filming I did, which is grand when you're outdoors. Outdoors was never an issue, even in deadly winter. But what was a real issue was indoors, and more specifically indoors in winter. So I could never get close-ups of flowers and orchids indoors in winter, and I had to adopt various workarounds. And the first thing was to look out for a sunny day. So it was like, I can't record today, it's too dull. I can't record today, it's too dull. I also can't record today, it's too dull. And then, oh, it's sunshine, where's everything? Let's record that video. So there was that. And also you'll notice that a lot of my winter videos are filmed outdoors, even if it's inappropriate to do so. So I have like a table full of orchids outdoors in winter, which is not really very good for them because they might catch a chill, but it was the only way I could do it so that you could see the detail of the orchids well enough. Now I don't have to worry about any of that because I have studio lights. And what I have is two studio lights, and they are set up in front of me, but slightly to the left and slightly to the right, and quite close. And this is the principle of 3-point lighting. So the key light, which is the one set up on my left here, is above and angled down, and that just helps eliminate shadows. And that is set with 2 bulbs. Now each light has 5 bulbs, but the one on my left I only have 2 bulbs on at the moment, and yeah, so far. And the one on my right, which is the fill light, and that serves to just kind of eliminate any shadows that the first one creates. And this one here on my right is set with just 1 bulb on. So it's really, you know, not using the full capacity of the lights at all. And it's these are wonderful. This is amazing. It means I can now film in winter and film indoors in winter, and it's just wonderful. It's going to revolutionize things. Now, in terms of 3-point lighting, you're supposed to have a separate light, a rim light I think it's called, behind you, and that's a bit problematic because I'm a gardener, and when I film indoors I don't want a video of just myself. I want my plants in the background. And where do we keep plants in the house? But we keep them by the window. So it means the window is going to be behind me. So when it gets to be night, the lights in front are going to bounce and reflect off the blackness of the window behind. So that's a bit of an issue, but I'm working to address it, and there will be solutions going forward. But for the moment, yeah, really, really pleased with this. This means that I can do a lot more propagation videos, repotting videos in winter, and just don't need to worry about all this setup. Of course, it does mean setup, and that's another thing. I don't have a free room in the house that's just given over to YouTube filming, so there's a bit of moving things around in that, but I can manage that. And if you want more information on how to set up lights for YouTube videos, then I'm going to link to a very useful video I found at the very end, and he will tell you a little bit more about it. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the subject of sound. And this is something that doesn't start out being problematic when you set up your channel, but after a while you realize it is. And the real problem has always been filming outdoors, because if you film outdoors, the quality of the sound can be affected by other stuff like machines, tractors, dogs barking, wind, whatever. Now the camcorder I have is quite good because it has a setting on it for outdoors, and actually that works quite well in helping the quality of voice to come through. I also have a muffler on the mic on my camcorder, and that's the way I've been working up until now. However, filming outdoors on windy days is always a problem, and the wind can really adversely affect the sound. Also, if you are relying on the mic on your camcorder, you need to be close to it. So the way I've been working it is when I'm filming outdoors and I need to get an establishing shot, there's no sound during that. I don't talk during that, because if I do talk, my voice is going to sound really, really far away. Whereas when the camera moves in and I start to do things, that's when I start talking. So that was a kind of workaround that I've had in operation. Now, for Christmas, what I have gotten is an external mic. And the way this little baby works is that it will clip onto my phone. My phone will go into my pocket and the mic will come around here and I will talk into it. So whenever I make a video, I will record the sound twice. The camcorder will be on, it will record picture and sound, and the mic will also record sound. And then afterwards, when I'm editing the video, what I do is I take off, remove the sound that came from the camcorder and put in the sound that came from the mic. And this works well if you make sure to do something at the beginning of each clip, which is like clap your hands or use a clapper board. And what happens when you do that is that it makes a sound spike, and in editing that is visualized on the screen as a sharp spike like that, and you know that that's the point where the clap took place. So you can line up the sound from the camcorder with the sound from the mic, and when you've got them exactly right and locked, then you delete the sound that was on the camcorder and it works fine. If you don't have that clap at the beginning, it is an absolute nightmare to synchronize voice with mouth. I've tried it and it's not funny. And of course, an external mic that is always at a constant distance from your mouth is going to mean that all through the video you've got the same volume of sound. So you don't have to mess around in the editor with trying to raise the sound in one little clip and that bringing in background sounds that you hadn't heard otherwise, etc, etc. It's just going to be so much neater. Now, as for sound indoors, when filming indoors, this can also have problems. You might think it should be okay, but one really big problem I found is echo. and we have wooden floors and no curtains in our house, so echo has been a real issue. And I've overcome it by laying duvets and cushions and blankets on the floor whenever I record a video. Now this is something I've only come to quite recently, so not very long ago in my videos you will have heard that echo in indoor stuff. Some rooms worse than others, but I think most of the rooms in my house are really quite echoey. It looks funny, you know, people come into the room after I've been videoing and they say, "Mum, why are there duvets and everything all over the floor?" And that is the simple answer, but it really does work. And if you're recording sound separately to the picture, then it's even easier, because you just go into a room by yourself and put a duvet over your head and you have the camera in there and you just record your voice. And now we come to the final element that I use in recording videos, and that is the video editor. So you've recorded your clips on your camcorder, you've got this separate sound, you've used the lights to make sure that the quality of the picture is good, and you've used your tripod to make sure that the quality of the picture is like steady, it's not shaky when it shouldn't be shaky. So you've got all that together and then you put it into a video editor. Now when I started off working on YouTube, I had no video editor, so I used the free YouTube online video editor, which was absolutely crap. And basically anything I wanted to do with a video was so difficult and so time consuming and frustrating that it just wasn't worth the effort. And you can see in one of my early videos in particular, which I'll link to up above, how ambitious I was in terms of what I wanted to do in the video, but my editing tools just weren't up to the task. And the end result then is just a very kitsch, unwatchable video. So after YouTube deprecated their free online editor, I used a couple of different free editors. I can't even remember which ones they were now. And then eventually I got VideoPad. And when I got VideoPad, I was absolutely astonished at all of the things I could now do, things I had forgotten even to attempt because I'd been so beaten down by bad editors over the years. And I started to learn so much about editing videos and doing things and just improving. And then of course that affected how I filmed. So if I was filming outdoors, video about Aqualegia, for example, and when I got in and had a look, and I saw that the close-up of the Aqualegia was fuzzy, it was out of focus, I didn't have to worry anymore, because I could go out and refilm that close-up and then bring it in and in the editor just make it overlay over the part where I was talking. And suddenly my YouTube life was revolutionized and everything just became so very much easier. So I proceeded with VideoPad for quite a while until it started presenting with problems. And the first problem was to do with the display. So when you're editing, there's a little display box on top which shows you the video as it's going through, and it was not in time with what I was doing, so it was always lagging behind. So when I was editing down here, I was actually editing something that was a few minutes ahead of what I was seeing on the screen, which became really difficult to work with. And I assumed that the problem was down to my computer. I bought a new computer, I still had the same problem. And then VideoPad started throwing up random errors, like when I rendered a video, which is when I compiled the whole thing and made it into a final video, it would just suddenly unsync the voice from the picture, just randomly. And also between the video clips, the transition would be corrupted, just randomly corrupted. So like maybe 5 transitions between clips in a total video would be corrupted. And it was just I never knew what I was going to get with the finished product, so it just wasn't workable. And now I have Vegas Pro, and I am really, really pleased with this editor. And it's really hard for me to describe to you why I'm so pleased, but suddenly everything was easier to do. And one feature that really struck me is the display. So when you're editing a video, the display that shows you the video, I already said this, you can reduce the quality of that display so it takes less memory from the computer, and in so doing then what you're actually editing is always at the same level, at the same point in time as the display, which is really, really handy. And various other things, Vegas Pro anyway, I'm very pleased with going forward. It takes like really quick time to render videos, and it's just, yeah, I'm very pleased with that anyway. And that brings me to the end of this video about how I make videos, which I hope you found useful. And just a reminder that all of the information about the equipment that I use, what camera, what lights, etc., is mentioned in the details of this video down below, so do check that out. Okay, so if you're interested in plant and gardening videos, stay tuned because I have lots of them coming for you this year. Thank you as always for your continued support and for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!